The night was thick with rain, and the streets shivered under the cold touch of the wind as I hurried home with my coat pulled tight around me, my boots splashing in shallow rivers that had formed along the broken sidewalks, and as I turned the corner by the abandoned library, I saw her standing there soaked through and shivering, her strange silver hair clinging to her face, her thin clothes offering no protection against the bitter night air, and though every instinct told me to walk faster, to not get involved, something rooted me to the spot, and I watched as she sagged against the wall, clearly exhausted, clearly starving, clearly not from here. Her eyes were too wide, too luminous, and when she looked at me it was not with fear, but with a kind of desperate hope that cut through the storm and went straight into my chest. I could not leave her there, I could not. I stripped off my coat and wrapped it around her skinny, trembling form, and she blinked up at me as if I had offered her the sun itself. I did not ask her name, I did not ask her anything. I simply guided her with gentle hands back to my small apartment, where the heater hummed warmly, and the lights glowed a soft gold that made her silver hair shine like starlight. She moved carefully like a wild thing, not sure if it was safe, but the moment she stepped inside and felt the warmth, I saw her shoulders sag and the tightness in her expression loosened just a little. I handed her a towel and rummaged through my closet for something dry she could wear, and as I passed her the oversized sweatshirt and sweatpants, she clutched them like precious treasures, as if I had given her something rare, something sacred. She did not speak as she dried off and changed into the clothes I gave her, nor did she speak when I placed a plate of leftover pasta in front of her. She simply ate with a hunger so raw it hurt to watch her shoveling food into her mouth with trembling hands, as if afraid it would be snatched away, and when she finished she looked at me across the small kitchen table with those enormous eyes full of questions, full of fear, full of something I could not name, and I realized I had not spoken either. Somehow words seemed too small for the moment, too rough, too loud in the quiet bond that had formed between us. She was not human, I could see that clearly now. Her skin had a faint iridescent sheen, and her movements were too smooth, too precise, but none of that mattered because she was cold, she was hungry, she was alone, and I could not turn her away. Days passed, and she remained a quiet presence in my home, never venturing outside, never asking for anything. Her wounds, both visible and invisible, slowly healed under the blanket of safety I tried to offer, and I found myself drawn to her more with each passing hour. There was a grace to her that no human could ever possess, a sadness too deep to be spoken aloud. And sometimes, when she thought I was not looking, she would trace patterns in the air with her fingers, patterns that shimmered briefly before fading away, as if she were weaving stories into the very fabric of existence. I wanted to ask her where she came from, what had happened to her, why she was here alone on a cold, forgotten street, but I never did, because something in her eyes told me that the story was too heavy to lift, that if she spoke it out loud it might crush her. It happened on a night much like the one when I first found her, a night thick with rain and thunder growling low across the horizon. I woke to the sound of her crying, not the soft human sobs I was used to, but a sound so pure and broken it seemed to shake the walls themselves. I found her curled up by the window, looking out into the storm, her hands pressed to the glass as if trying to reach something far beyond it. And when I touched her shoulder, she turned to me with eyes full of stars and spoke for the first time, a voice like music, broken and trembling, saying, "They have come for me." And in that moment the sky outside split open with a crack of white light, and shapes descended, swift and dark and terrible. I knew, without needing to be told, that they were not here to save her. They were here to take her back to whatever nightmare she had fled. I did not think, I did not plan. I simply grabbed her hand and pulled her with me out into the storm, running blind through the pounding rain, with her stumbling after me, too weak, too terrified to resist. We ran until my lungs burned, and my muscles screamed, until the world was only rain and fear and the desperate pounding of my heart. And when we finally collapsed in an alleyway, hidden behind overflowing dumpsters, she clung to me with a strength born of pure survival, whispering words I could not understand, but feeling them all the same, promises of gratitude, of sorrow, of hope. And when she pressed her forehead to mine, something passed between us, something old and powerful and binding. I saw flashes of her world, its broken beauty, its endless wars, its desperate hopes, and I understood then that by giving her shelter, by refusing to let her be taken, I had stepped into a destiny far bigger than either of us, and as the rain poured down and the world shuddered around us, I whispered to her that she was safe, that I would protect her no matter what. And in her luminous eyes, I saw the future waiting for us both, not easy, not safe, but ours. Her fingers tightened on my shirt as if she feared I would vanish if she let go, and I held her just as tightly, shielding her from the cold, from the fear, from the memories that chased her through the rain. She buried her face in my chest, and I felt her whole body trembling, not from the cold, but from something deeper, from a sorrow, though vast it could swallow the stars. And I whispered again and again that she was safe, that no one would take her, that I would stand between her and whatever monsters sought to drag her back into the darkness. Time lost all meaning as we crouched there in the alley, the rain a steady drumbeat against the world, and then slowly her trembling eased, her breathing steadied, and she lifted her head to look at me, her eyes searching my face as if memorizing it, branding it into her heart. And she spoke again, her voice a soft thread of light through the darkness, saying, "You chose me," and those words stitched something inside me, something permanent, something sacred, and I nodded because yes, I had chosen her, and I would choose her 1,000 times over. We moved carefully after that, slipping through the shadows, finding abandoned places to shelter, always staying one step ahead of the ones who hunted her. They were tireless and relentless, but so were we, and in those days of running and hiding a bond grew between us, stronger than fear, stronger than blood, stronger than the cold reality of the world around us. She taught me strange songs in a language that shimmered on the air. She showed me how to see the invisible threads that wove through every living thing, and I taught her laughter. I taught her the comfort of shared silence, of stolen moments of peace in a world that had forgotten how to be kind. And when the hunters finally cornered us in the ruins of a forgotten station, where the wind howled through broken windows and the shadows loomed tall and merciless, she stood before them, not as a frightened girl, but as something new, something fierce and bright, her hand finding mine, her voice ringing out in a clear, unwavering song that split the air like a blade. I felt the power surge through her, through me, through the very bones of the earth, and the hunters faltered, stepping back, their weapons shaking in their hands. They had come expecting a frightened fugitive, a broken soul they could drag back to their cold, distant masters. But what they found was a force reborn, forged in kindness and courage and the stubborn defiance of two hearts that had chosen each other. And when she raised her hand, the storm answered her call, lightning flashing down in a blinding torrent that scattered the hunters into the night, leaving only silence and the scent of rain behind. Breathless, trembling, not from fear, but from something wild and beautiful, I turned to her, and she smiled, the first real smile I had ever seen from her, a smile that lit up the world, and she whispered, "We are free now," and I knew it was true, not just free from them, but free to carve out a life of our own, free